Yeah, cool. So we'll record it, and I'm sure on your end you'll be able to type some stuff in as well.
Sure.
So industry-specific sites, because in your world you kind of deal in foundation skills and ESL kind of thing. So we'll just I'm going to spitball. So reading and writing. Outline ideas that work. ESL specialist sites.
Yeah, I'll fill in those.
Yeah. Cool.
So ask.
And if there's any others that come to mind. Yeah. So for this one, you could do sat down with a colleague and discussed the ASQA fact sheet on conducting assessments. In the meeting, I discussed the following items. And then you can just list what you discussed.
So what I'll do that I've actually done one on validation.
Oh, perfect. Perfect.
Conducting validation. And I've also got, I actually took that whole validation section of the ASQA guidelines and turned it into a one-page slide. So I'll add that as a...
Awesome.
It's just like to understand it. It sort of gave them clarity as to what it was. Conducting validations.
Right.
And I'll just put here C attachment as well.
Perfect.
Okay.
Cool. So 7.3 says locate an assessment tool of your choice and summarize how this assessment tool is used to gather evidence of competence. Discuss whether or not it's the best tool for the job and why. If you're not in a position, cool. So in here you can just talk about one of the assessment tools you have used in the past and what it was trying to assess and how well you think it did the job. So that could be a role play, or it could be like documentation, or it could be a written test, or whatever comes to mind.
Sure, I'm happy with that. Thank you.
7.4, select 3 of the recommendations within the assessor code of practice and explain how you could apply each one to improve your current practices. So I think, let me just check that the link works. Yeah, it works. That's cool. So just going to bring that up so that you know that I'm speaking truth there. So if you read through that hyperlink, it talks about a number of different things in the assessor code of practice there. And I think the question then says select 3 of the recommendations, explain how you would apply each one to improve your current practices. Pretty abstract in general, but I'm sure you'll be able to come up with something.
So I can just pull out any 3 of those,
yeah,
and elaborate on them.
Yeah.
I'm just going to check something here. Okay, sure.
Cool. So 7.5, plan an activity you could use to promote professional development among an assessor group. The activity should include accessing relevant information and applying new knowledge in some way. Detail your plan below. Cool.
I can use that same, I can do that same
thing that
I'll,
you
I'll
did above. Yeah.
I'll use the validation
Yeah.
process because that's pretty intensive,
Yeah.
and I can sort of break it down. Yeah, I'm happy with that.
Um, so 7.6 says use a time management tool you're familiar with. Yeah. To plan regular monitoring sessions with other assessors. Attach a copy of this as evidence for your assessor. Include the notes taken for at least one of these sessions to demonstrate how it was conducted, the outcomes, how the outcomes will be used to improve practices. So for me, this would be a screenshot of a monitoring schedule for someone else. But I mean, knowing your situation, you could just call it monitoring assessor um, uh, Mr. Smith or something like that. Just give them an imaginary name. Um, and then here, you can put in, let's imagine that the meeting was conducted, and you can sort of say what you talked about in the meeting. And maybe you're going to give them feedback on how they marked one of their assessments. So maybe their feedback to the candidate wasn't great. Maybe they didn't tick the boxes. Maybe they didn't sign things, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, all good. How outcomes will be used to improve
Yeah,
practice.
so that for me would just be the the assessor agreed that going forward they would do better performance, or they would follow the
Yeah.
codes of
They,
practice
they,
better.
they would include the items in their marking checklist.
Yeah, yeah,
Items noted.
yeah. Cool. Part two, knowledge questions. So this one, it says define competency-based assessment. And so we've got A, B, C here. So A, it says vocational education and training as a national system. B is competency standards as the basis of nationally accredited qualifications. Assessment B is criteria and reference as distinct from norm referenced. So for me, this kind of A is like, why do we use CBA in the vet sector? Um, why and how do we use standards to, I guess, base our assessments on? An example of when we use norm-based versus criterion referenced assessment.
Sure. Yeah.
Hopefully I'm speaking English when I say all that to you.
Yeah, all good. I'm happy with that.
Number two, explain how elements, performance criteria, performance knowledge, and assessment conditions of a unit are used when assisting in individual candidates. Well, hopefully I shouldn't have to explain it, but the elements are the tasks within the unit, and you need to assess people on those steps and tasks. Performance criteria is the standards to which the tasks must be done. The performance evidence is what we must see the person do or gather physical evidence of. Knowledge evidence is the knowledge that we must assess them on, aka the theory of it. Assessment conditions are the conditions under which the assessment must take place.
Yeah, that's all good.
Cool. Three, explain how foundation skills and dimensions of competency can be integrated into assessments. I think this is a strange question because they're two very different things. So foundation skills are the basic language literacy, numeracy, communication skills, and employability skills. Dimensions of competency are the 4 ways that we know someone can do something. So you've got task skills, task management skills, contingency management skills, and job role environment. So in order to integrate dimensions of competency into assessments, you'd want to make sure that there were situations where things don't go to plan, and also that tasks are done in multiple different environments.
Sure, no, that's all good.
Okay. For explain the ASCO requirements for assessment, refer also to RTS. Okay. Very broad question there.
Sure, I'm completely happy with that. The 8 standards and how
yeah,
they
there's that, the fact sheets, and you can also speak to validation if you want. Number 5, select and the reason I'm just hesitant on it is because you can literally write War and Peace on that. So I do want to encourage you to just keep it to the 8 things, or keep it to a set amount of things, because otherwise, yeah, you could really go over it. 5, select an organization you're familiar with and briefly describe its assessment policy and procedure related to candidate privacy and assessment material copyright. Basically, don't divulge results or don't divulge information to unauthorized third parties. Briefly describe the appeals process within the organization. Appeals is basically, as you would know, if someone's deemed not yet competent, well, what's their appeal process around that? Describe how technology is applied to improve or assist in quality assessment. Describe the strategy used to ensure the assessment process is transparent and credible.
Yeah. Okay, I'm happy with that.
6, select and write an assessment method and describe the instruments you would use to collect evidence. Using this method, describe a context where this method would be suitable and why. As you would be familiar, let's just do so practical observation. I'm just going to give you an example. Instruments would be a checklist for the assessor, and then we want a task list for the candidate. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. And then you would explain it. Cool. So 7, describe the characteristics of a well-constructed assessment tool. Again, this is one that may not have limits on it, so I would just do a paragraph at the most.
Sure, no, that's all good.
8, briefly explain the roles and responsibilities of Voc Ed contributors, workplace assessors, vocational experts, workplace supervisors, support persons in the assessment process. Okay, cool.
Sure, that's all good. That's all good.
Define duty of care and how it is applied to the assessment system.
Yep,
okay.
that's all good. All good. All good.
Why is compliance? Another question. Explain the importance of reflective practice.
Yep, that's good.
Explain the legal, ethical, organizational responsibilities regarding the accurate recording of information.
Sure. Yep, that's all good.
All right. So now we'll come to this stuff, which is the workplace evidence, and I'm gonna have it over here while I look at it, and I will chat to you about it. So let me just bring it up. Okay, so first thing is list of students that you assessed. Now, these names may not be 100% accurate. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so ideally list of 20 and the units that you assess them against. Also, this will be verified by your previous supervisor.
So
Because I think you've spoken to her and she's going to give you evidence for the other unit and this one as well, right?
Yeah. So what I can ask, because she hasn't given it to me yet, she's probably busy. It might only come in the next week or two.
That's right.
Um, so all she has said is I've worked with the number of students, which is much more than that.
Good.
Um, so what um so the individual names, so you say they don't have to be.
No, look, if she said that you've worked with more than that, I'm fine. What I would say instead is maybe I would definitely need the list of units that you have taught them against. And if you don't know that, then just write that in a Word document saying, I typically taught over, I don't know, 100 students across the following units.
So I think in my so in the literacy, which was my most recent one in 22,
Yeah.
I don't think there were 50 units,
No, that's fine. I'm not
but
fast.
I can add so in a couple of years before the ESL ones, can I
Oh,
add the
perfect. Yeah, that'd
yeah.
be great.
So I'll just gather everything I've done in the sort of recent last couple of years.
Mhm.
Um, and hopefully that'll be but I don't know if it'll be 50. Yeah.
No, that's fine. Yeah, the more important number is the 20 students, whether it's across the, I mean, yeah, I'm sure you'll be able to
Yeah.
list some
I,
stuff there.
yeah, I did a project. Um, I think we did about like 25 full RPL kits on
Okay.
different units. I don't know if I know that's not I didn't teach them,
Mhm.
but I developed. I don't know if that's relevant or
No, that's great. No, that's fantastic.
I can
Um,
add. I can list all those ones because that was pretty intensive work on um aligning those with the units and so on.
that's great.
So I can add my RPLs, my kits,
Yeah,
the ESL plus the literacy. If I think I can make it up out of those three.
awesome.
Okay.
And that actually brings up the next one here, which says samples of different assessment types used. So are you able to submit any of the kits that you created?
Yeah, I can do is that for number two?
Well, the first thing I'm looking at is list of students. And if you can't give the list of students, then just in a Word document, you can combine, say, a list of students and list of units taught. That's fine. So what I'll do is I'll remove that. List of students that you assessed and units that you assessed against. Uh, cool. So then number two would be submit a copy of one of the RPL kits that you created.
Sure. Sure. I'll just pull
Um,
the logo and names out of it and
yeah,
then
of course, of course. Yeah. Then uh, mm, it's I'm just throwing this out there, but do you have any copies of validations that you've done, or is it you wouldn't have access to those because of
well, assessment processes. So like for those RPL kits, um, that would be the closest to actual nutting it out and changing it and updating it.
yeah, okay,
That
cool.
assessment. The others were pretty much it was all kind of set. So I sort of walked into an already set curriculum. It was all set up. So I did give feedback about how it could be improved because there were issues that came up.
Oh, fantastic. So
But it
evidence
wasn't
of having given feedback on
I can just summarize what feedback, what issues arose and what feedback I gave
Yeah, perfect.
to contribute to the validation process.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And then any emails or communication that would show that you have given feedback to someone on their assessing performance or the assessment process in general.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah. So I've it's on the recording. I've also saved as an image as well. But if you have those things, then I would be happy that that would meet the requirements of the workplace evidence.
Okay, great.
Cool. Awesome. All right. So I've seen that your other unit come through, so I'll definitely check that over the next couple of days. And when you get the evidence from your employer, just shoot it through, and that'll be great.
Okay. Great. Thanks for that. And so what is next? What's the next unit that you recommend working on after this one?
Yeah. I just need to bring it up. Probably the PDD unit.
PDD, yeah.
Yeah. With the amount of stuff that you do, I really think we'll be able to get that one complete quite quickly.
Okay.
So let's by my calendar, let's maybe look at say the 6th of May, if you're free around the 6th of May.
Monday, the 6th of May? Yeah.
All right, so I will send you an appointment now.
So 1 p.m.?
Yep, we can do one.
Sure. Okay. So that'll be all right. I'll get cracking on these tasks then.
Sounds good. Awesome. I will see you on the other side on the 6th of May.
Thanks. I'm just finishing signing that cover sheet for the one I've already submitted. So I'll just send the cover sheet through in the next few minutes.
Sounds good. Awesome. Thanks, David.
Thanks. Much appreciated. Take care.
Bye now.
Bye. Bye.